Welcome to the Fullcaster Podcast, Episode 4. Today we have Stephen Clark on as our guest today. I'm actually pretty excited to get him on a little bit later here as we get past our current events. Stephen's been doing all kinds of stuff on the other side of the fence lately. I'm excited to hear what he did prior to being the tuner extraordinaire that he is right now. But as we do beforehand, let's jump into some current events, buddy. I gotta tell you, this is the first one we've actually recorded. Now almost a month.
Yeah,
about a month actually.
For how quickly we started off.
Yeah, we
definitely had a break for a minute.
April 22nd, we're recording this thing. It's going to go out there here in a couple of weeks, but so April 22nd. The last time we actually did one of these things was just prior to the turn of the month, right? The 31st or so of March, and we were talking about light at the end of the tunnel or whatnot. One of the last recordings we did, and I can't say I can see the light, but there's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah,
right now
a little bit. I mean, that's as of right now. Who knows what will happen in another few days? It's just changing so much at the moment.
It changes a lot, really, really quick. But I'll say this: you look at it at Calspeed right now, and there's weeds growing on and stuff like that. Because we haven't done any work. We're properly laid off, furloughed, whatever you want to call it. We're not here, except for when we come in to do this little gem. And I
might volunteer to do some of the weeds, so I don't have as much when I come back.
It's a sad state of affairs, man. And you look out there, and it doesn't look so hot.
No.
And
new paint ain't gonna fix it.
Oh, man.
We're gonna have to do a little bit more.
It's kind of a bummer. It's one of the things about being in a parking lot, right? There's a byproduct to that. But anyways, weeds growing at Cal Speed's kind of a sad thing. But one of the things that you are reading in the news different elements of starting to talk about opening back up, and getting back into the swing of things. And I know everybody in the racing industry is. We want to go racing. We want to make stuff happen. Obviously, you want to be smart about it, all that kinds of crap. But man, oh man, this downtime is tough.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys, this is their money maker, right? Like we've talked about before. So they have this downtime and they got no income coming in. So the sooner we can get back at it, the better. But everyone just got to do their part so we can.
No, exactly. And you got, like I said, hearing different things in the news, different ideas of, how that's going to happen, when we're going to open up, crap like that. But I even read this morning that Newcastle's going to try to put out a race on this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Newcastle's going to do a non-points club race this weekend. I guess they might have weather as well, so it's not for sure.
Jesus.
That would figure, right? But
yeah.
But I'm kind of excited about that. I mean, we've heard of different things going on, back east and different places. I know Willow Springs has actually they're open right now. Yeah. And they're able to make some things happen. Adams was open for a while, and it sounds like they had some issues that they had to close down. But obviously we've got, different things that we have to do. The San Bernardino County, they shut us down, so we were kind of SOL. But with Newcastle opening up, and I guess they're working with the local authorities and stuff like that on that deal, and other places starting to open up. Actually. I heard Alan Rudolph's place. I was listening in, watching the deal on eKarting News yesterday. So these other places are open or are functioning. So I think that if there's enough of that starting to go on, then maybe we can do this thing sooner than later.
Just hopefully it carries over here to the West Coast. I mean, I know they've had a lot of progress in the middle states. Both the East and West Coast have been bigger issues, it sounds like. So hopefully we can get rolling sooner.
Yeah, I mean, you got New York on the other side, and LA on this side, and San Fran, that kind of thing. All they're going through. But in the meantime, you've been jumping into the iRacing game. You're iRacing rookie as of a week or so ago.
I think so. Yeah, it's definitely been the perfect investment to get through some of this downtime. And thank you for the rig. A long-term loan right now.
Yeah,
the grandstand rig. So indefinitely. But no, that's been a ton of fun. I'm doing the Red 6 Super Series Red 6 Championship with Pat Britton and Matt Steele running that. So
pretty good number of guys. I mean, when I was over there with you last weekend, I want to say it was like 30 or so dudes in the Radical race. I'm not sure how many you had in the oval.
We had 30 in the Radical at Laguna, and then I think 25 or so in the oval at USA International.
That's in street stock too. That's the rookie car.
Yeah, the street stock is a ton of fun. I'm having a blast in that.
What do you now that you've just started doing it, right? So you bought my old G27.
Yeah,
you're using my rig. You're basically a sponsored driver by Mike Smith over there. But now that you've gotten a chance to do it, like you did get a chance to do it before on my old rig. It cost a little smitty a few years ago, and I can't remember if you got a chance to run the Fanatec stuff, the nicer things or not. But
I think I did, but not really.
But anyway, now that you're kind of doing it, what's that learning curve like? Like it's all new, right? It's all brand new,
dude. Chris Millar put it up on the Facebook page the other day. He goes, "iRacing is humbling," and I just couldn't agree more. And I didn't go into it hot thinking I was going to kick everyone's ass.
You think you know what you're doing, but...
Yeah, it definitely took a little bit more effort than I was expecting. The biggest thing is it's trying to feel all the car through the steering wheel. Like, it's different. Like in the karts, we always talk about how you and I feel the kart different. But when we're actually sitting in the whole thing, we feel the whole thing moving. But
yeah, it's one thing when you're going off the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
You can feel everything in your butt and whatnot. We always talk about, you can feel what the back of the car is doing in your butt and what the front of the car is doing with your hands.
Yeah.
But on iRacing, especially, with just a standard rig, or some of these guys only have like wheel stands or whatnot, right? Just out of your desk. You can't feel anything unless it comes through that steering wheel with the force feedback.
Yeah. So it's been tough trying to dial in, my driving and whatnot. Like last night we were practicing at Spa, and we're in some GT cars. So it's between the RSR and the M8. BMW. And I chose the BMW, and I'm, every session I'm getting a little bit quicker, knocking off like half a second to a second. I started off about 9 seconds slow once I figured out the track, but I got up to within 3 seconds of the fastest time, I think. And I'm like, Jesus, I don't know how much faster I can go. And I'm like, probably some of that is and like we've talked about on the road course side, some of that's going to be the rig setup. You're going to find more time with a better rig setup, I know.
Yeah, especially the brake pedal and whatnot.
So I know the faster guys have the nicer Fanatec stuff. But it's bad news if I'm on the G27 and end up catching them. So
it's all the car, right?
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's been a ton of fun. It's definitely when I did the rolling start a few weeks ago, we're in the Legend car at the Charlotte Roval. And, I go out for practice, go out for quality, and I'm starting about mid-pack or so. And we do the rolling start. I'm like, I miss this so much right now. So it was cool. It's been cool to be competitive in something again.
Scratch the itch a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're going out and you're learning these new cars, you're learning these new tracks and whatnot, is it similar to real life? I mean, granted, you've done most of your driving here at Cal Speed of late and whatnot, but anytime we've done a new... We'd go into the KA package from 206, anything like that where it's new and different. Are you able to apply some of the things that you're seeing or that you did real world into the game?
Yeah. I definitely start off, even in the kart, I start off more just slow on my first few laps, just kind of cruising around the track, if you will. I've done the same thing in the car, but it's all been the same thing for me. Just try to find your apex and make sure you're getting in the habit, especially I'm fortunate enough to know Cal Speed pretty well, but when I'm going to Spa, I've never stepped foot out of the country. So,
no, you haven't been there?
No. So everything's a little
no track
different.
Walks there?
Yeah. So everything's a little different, but it's just, for me, and we talked about it recently, it's just trying to get your vision right.
So the fundamentals are kind of the big thing there and making sure you can apply them.
And which is funny because I'm like, all right, just be smooth, worry about exit speed, all the fundamental stuff, right? But then I saw you get in it and be just as fast as me in a few laps. But I'm like, this guy's freaking hands all over the place and still quick. I'm like, this is like real life. But it was not a pretty sight when I was trying to jump in there. But there is that little bit more I'm trying to find right now. So, but yeah, it's all fundamental starting off for sure.
I'll tell you, that's one of the things that's kind of cool about that, right? Is it's brand new. And anytime something's new like that, whether it be a new, like I know when I was doing it all the time a few years ago, anytime we go to a new track or anything like that, it was like, okay, cool. You know, especially if I knew the car already, right?
Yeah.
It's just like any of the places I've gone in the last couple of years. If you know the car, so now it's just about learning the track, and that's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and that's the nice thing about the iRace. Now, the thing about the iRacing deal is, not only do you not know the particular car that you selected, you still learn how to drive. Period.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you may know vision and stuff like that, but you got to figure out. It's like
I'm trying to protest and say it. We should just stay in the same damn car all year.
Concentrate on one thing.
It's getting a little tough. Yeah, I barely managed a decent finish in the Radical, and now we're in a sports car, and that's actually been a lot nicer than it has been to drive the prototype. But I'm not opposed to staying in one make and model all year and going from there.
Well, I'll tell you, that's one of the things that I want to do around here. I've gotten a chance to go try some different tracks and stuff like that, and we had actually talked about trying to head over to Adams.
Yeah.
And cut some laps over there before everything went down, or like right when it started.
Right.
We were going to try to do that, and then they ended up having.
We've had years, and now we decided to.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's I've been down here since 11, and you've grown up around here.
Yeah.
I've been there, but I've never raced there. I've never been in a go-kart. I've just been there on a practice day a couple of times.
Well, and I think, most of our careers here at Cal Speed have just been sport karting, so there's been no other place to go to.
Your career. Right?
Oh, yeah, right. Well, as long as I've known you here, I should say. But it wasn't until, maybe this last year, we're like, man, now we're doing a lot of the two-stroke stuff again. We see what else is out there, but it's just, we're running a track, so it's timing trying to go to another track.
Yeah, and then we get an opportunity here because we're shut down, and, well...
And the rest of the world is so.
Great, yeah. Which, by the way,
we were talking about going to Spa, actually.
Yeah, and actually, that reminds me the concerts that were supposed to happen are probably not going to happen. And you know what that means, right? We're going to be open.
Oh, right.
Which means I don't know how we're going to do that Civil War thing or like that.
You know what? I'll take having a weekend off at this point.
Yeah. Well.
Or not having a weekend off, I should say.
Well, I'm still looking forward to getting back at it, right? And trying out different tracks and whatnot. And we talk about Adams being the closest to us here in Riverside. And actually somebody who's got a good amount of time in Adams and has actually got their start there, it sounds like, is Stephen Clark. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to bring him on and talk a little bit more about Adams Motorsports Park and racing and all that kinds of good stuff. So, Stephen, come on over here, bro. Hey, Steven, thanks for coming out, man.
Yeah, glad to be here.
This is kind of a fun gig, this Fullcaster podcast thing with us. We appreciate you coming out. Right out of the gate, because people are coming from all different walks of life and whatnot. You obviously, obviously, I guess we'll talk about it. What do you do for a living, for those who don't know?
Driver, coach, mechanic, shop guy, pretty much anything you need in karting, I can do.
And right now you're with... mostly with Phil, yeah?
Yeah, with Phil.
Phil Giebler Racing?
Yes. Ricardo karts, anything freeline racing.
And how long you been, first off, how long you been there at PGR?
With Phil, on and off, going on like 6-7 years.
Oh, wow.
Has it been that long? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And
I first started off and it was me and Derek and Phil and Everett, working there.
Wow.
Man,
yeah.
I forgot about those days.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Man, I forgot
Still
you've been there
FA
that
kart
long.
back then.
Yeah. That's right. Man, that's crazy. So how long have you? So you've been with him about 6-7 years, and you're basically running the show now, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much your gig, and you got the minions underneath you and whatnot. It's obviously busy underneath that thing.
Yeah.
But you didn't start out that way. How'd you get started with Phil?
When I first started with Phil, Derek was working there. He needed help, so I just went over there and started helping him out. And then, like I said, we just hit it off, started winning a lot of races. We're just a bunch of friends. I've known Phil for going on almost like 22 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So when did you first meet Phil then?
I met Phil at Adams because Troy Adams is my stepbrother. So I was working the corner back when I was 6.5 years old. up in the Monza.
You were working at Adams when you were 6.5?
Yes, sir.
As a corner worker?
Corner worker.
It was under the table, but he was there.
You probably just got lunch.
Yeah.
No, back then they didn't even. Yeah, they had the snack bar, so they just feed you, some sandwiches, some fries, and
for a little kid though, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's how I met all the racers, from Phil to Matt Johnson, Mike Johnson, all of them.
Let's go right into that. So, I mean, is that how you got? How did you get into karting? And just, so you said.
Yeah, my stepdad is Tim Adams, which is Troy's dad.
Okay.
And they own the track, and it was in their backyard. So you walk down there.
It's family.
Yeah. Started driving.
How old?
I started driving when I was 7. So, yeah. So they didn't have kit karts or cadets back then either. It was full-size karts.
I don't even know how old are you?
37.
37. So we're about the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were 7, when we were 7, right around there. We're talking late 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Late 80s to just right around 90. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember I said I was in junior 1 cadets. It wasn't actually a cadet kart yet. Like, I was the first.
It was a full-size kart with a cadet motor?
It was junior 1 4-stroke, right? So it was basically the same engine as everybody else, just we were restricted. Yeah. But the chassis itself was basically like, mine was a prototype, and it was like 5 inches shorter, like a 35 instead of a 40 or something like that. Wheelbase, I think it was. But so there's no cadets and stuff like that. No. Like, I got started at 12, and I was the youngest one in the club at Portland Karting Association in '94. So what did you drive at 7?
At 7, it was Bug Go-Kart and Margay. Was back then. Like I said, they just put pillows behind you. Yeah, full-size kart. And pedal extenders.
What was the youngest they were racing here at Adam? Like, you were going out there driving, but you didn't get started racing. I want to say
9 years old was, really? I think, when they first started racing back then, like 9, I want to say.
They might down here. Yeah. There might have been, SoCal, right? There might have been enough.
There was SoCal and Tri-C back then.
Racing going on that there was, the munchkins.
Oh, yeah.
That could go out. So you're starting in a go-kart, a bug kart, or Margay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a bug. My first real one was a Margay. Loved it. Loved it.
And do you know how much adjustment there was on those things?
Nothing.
Moving your body around.
They didn't even have, like, the extra axles, nothing.
Man.
Yeah.
I just remember wheel track, like, width.
Yeah, the wheel width and the different tires that you can run were big back in the day. Because they had Bridgestones, Dunlops, Vegas, Maxes. You can pretty much a lot of brands. Wow. Yeah, run whatever you showed up with.
Okay. So you were talking about the SoCal Sprinters, right?
SoCal and Tri-C.
SoCal's running at Adams. Where's Tri-C? Are they running at Adams as well?
Yeah, they would run 2 different layouts. SoCal would run the S's 1 week, and then the following weekend, or 2 weeks following weekend after, they would run like the sweeper, and they would change up the track layout.
Was that pretty much the only thing to run back then? Just those 2 clubs, or?
Yeah, that was it. There was no LAKC or. There wasn't even SCUSA or Stars, because it was called Stars back then, but it was IKF. Region 7 was the biggest thing, IKF Region 7.
And this is early 90s.
Yeah.
Early to mid-90s.
Yeah, Duffy's were like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
So you basically, you get into karting because it's in the family, basically.
Yes.
Like you said, you were 6.5 or so working a corner.
Mm-hmm.
So you working a corner on some of these races, and then a couple of years later, and then going and driving.
Yeah, I would work the corner, and then during the week, like I said, Troy started off a school called Speed Zone, and that's where we taught all the kids, like Jesus Vasquez, Gustavo Jimenez, Ariel, like pretty much all the kids growing up that you see now racing. Taught all of them.
Wow.
So
how old were you when you were teaching?
When I first started teaching, I was just getting out of middle school, going into high school, so probably like 16.
Yeah, man.
That's when I met Jesus, like taught him English and taught him how to drive, and now he's killing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Jesus
Vasquez.
Senior.
Yeah.
Yes. For those who play in the at-home game, there's more than one.
Yes. Yes, and his dad was a bad man.
Wow.
Yes.
That is
dad
awesome.
was a bad man.
Man, you taught him?
Yeah. Yep.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I'm old. I look young, but I'm old. Yeah, for sure.
Wise beyond your years, my friend.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm kind of going through my notes here. I want to hear more about this back in the day stuff. So what you were running the Bug and the Margay. You got into the Margay stuff. When you started racing, was it the Margay?
Yeah, because I was running a bug because John Bush had K&P manufacturer, and they used to run bug chassis all the time. So I used to have those, and he taught me how to drive with Troy. And first real go-kart, like brand new I had was a Margay, because Troy with Speed Zone, they got sponsored by Margay, so they would send them go-karts and stuff like that. So I got one of those and loved it.
I saw Jim Barry just posted oh man, what do you call it? Like an old TV thing from kart racing. It was at Adams, and it was like a California State Championship in like '92. Yes. Were you there?
Yeah.
You see
I
that
was on the corner, man. I'm telling
that's
you.
awesome.
Yeah? You were on the inside of Monza there?
Either the Monza or I would always do the little Monza. That's where all the action was.
Which one is it? Is Little Monza the second one?
Yeah, the big Monza's at the end of the long straightaway, and the little Monza's in the second straightaway. Yeah. And
they had Kevin Harvick and whatnot running.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, a lot of the big boys ran back then.
And a very young looking Mike Manning in the interview, by the way, on their deal. That was pretty bitchin'.
Yeah.
So what was one of the big chassis back then that like everyone had?
Back then it was a little different from like right now. CRGs were pretty big. You had your off brands like KRTs and stuff. Like some of the Europeans are starting to bring their stuff in, so people were liking them. But CRGs were pretty big, like Tony karts are now.
Okay.
Yeah, CRGs were ruling it.
So you're in the market. You started running when you were 9. What class? Like what were you?
DAT piston port.
Okay.
Yeah, with Augie Vidovich and all them. That's how I met Phil too, because Phil was running with Augie Vidovich and DAT piston port, and yeah.
So would that be essentially Junior 1, 2-stroke, or how
that would be like the DAP was pretty fast, so that would be like a K100 Junior.
Oh wow!
The DAP piston port, they were pretty fast. Like I said, they didn't slow them down that much.
No,
because they didn't even have combers back then. Troy actually brought out the kit cart. He made a kit cart with this guy named Jim White. They made the first kit cart, brought it out, and then it just blew.
The first kit cart
is
Adam Motorsports.
Wow. Yeah, Troy Adams and this guy named Jim White built the first kit cart.
What'd they have on it for an engine?
It was some Honda looking thing. It was like the 50 Hondas back then. It wasn't like it wasn't like the 4-stroke Hondas. It was a 2-cycle Honda.
Wow.
That's crazy.
They had a big 99 gear on it, It was crazy. 20 air pressure.
Enough clearance for the sprocket.
Barely. Barely hit a curb, and it was over.
And are there curbs to hit at Adams?
Oh yeah, for sure. Character builds character.
Nice.
Like I said before, I have not driven there, but I've heard plenty of.
Like a where did we go? Not Pat Acres.
That's where I'm from, and I've heard it's a lot like that old school,
a little
twisty.
But what's that other Northern Cal track we went to?
Shasta or
Perry City?
Prairie City.
It's just like a Perry City.
Really?
You hit the curb wrong, it's a bad deal.
Yeah, and there's some curbs to hit at Prairie City. Yeah. Well, there was. I saw they did a bunch of rework to it. So
relayout.
I really want to check it out now.
I know. Watching some video of you with you guys from KPX at Reno, I think.
Yeah, we were in Reno. Yeah,
Reno.
They had that
some
one
stout curves. The parking block that they had at Apex
on the straightaway.
That thing looks gnarly.
I talked to the Riveras about that. I think it was Rodney I was talking to. But I'm like, man, what's going on with this curve? He's like, man, we had to put it in because people were like just jumping hauling ass, so they had to slow them down a little bit. I'm like, that's how you're gonna slow them down? Because I guess they had some it would wad up go-karts, wad them up.
Now they're still wadding them up just with a curb.
Just ton of shifter going through. And speaking of that, shifters and whatnot, Prairie City, nothing against a tracker like that, but to me that is the fastest you want to go in that thing is probably KA for it to have a good time.
Yeah,
to go racing.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that came out of there that are good. And that's why, because it's real technical.
Actually,
like Harvick and Alex Keys and those guys are good because it's so hard to.
And I think, to catch up to our time, Callum Smith is another guy that does a lot of had a lot of seat time in the shifter at that track.
At Prairie City?
Yeah,
I thought Callum was from further north or from. I guess it's the same basic area, but he ran to Sonoma a good amount, I think.
No, he's mentioned that
it's a good track too.
The Prairie City, but he's just you learn your fundamentals from there. Because you're always having to grab a gear and whatnot. So
yeah,
and if you miss your marks, you're off the track.
Right.
There's no.
Well, like I said, I started racing in '94 at Pat's Acres, and that's what they said about Pat's. Is like if you can win at Pat's,
oh yeah,
you could go anywhere and do well. And it's just because it's so bloody technical, and
right.
And it wasn't super easy to pass either. I mean, at that time there was only one layout, and it had a bend. It's got a little bit of a bend in the straight, so you can block the entire time without having to do anything. The normal line is far inside,
right,
and the first corner is like this diamond, so you don't have to go way out and still be quick. And
you can let it carry out in the corner.
Yeah, so because it's hard to pass and it's it's not super wide, like we've got all this extra room here. It's like 22, and that's the thing with the Adams. Right? It's a old school track, obviously.
Track. Yeah, most of the tracks that are old were built for Yamahas, and so it's real tight and technical. And if you can get good at tracks like that, that's why I like to go to tracks that are off the wall, like Old Bakersfield off the side of the mountain.
That place looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you go and you get good at places like that, when you go to SuperNats or any of the big races, you're not afraid of the barriers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're used to tight quarters. It just makes you better.
Yeah, and things happen quicker.
Fast. Yeah, way fast.
One corner to the next one, like linking them up.
Man, I got to say, for how many barriers there are at SuperNats, we get some shit for the barriers out here, I'll say.
Well,
and
the only thing that
less now than it used to be.
Yeah,
less now,
only thing that people would say about the barriers here is the fast corners that they come out with. They're right there on the exit, and they like to push the envelope.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's their problem. That's not the track's problem.
Yeah,
right.
that's always been my thing. Is that I mean, as a driver, you're gonna take what you get.
Exactly.
Like, if you're at a SuperNats, a Rock the Rio, a Cal Speed, a Temp course, kind of a Homestead, any of those kind of things where you aren't able to, or where there's no grass, right? The grass is automatic. Shit, man, I actually seen like it. You go to you watch a race at Indy or whatever. They're going through the grass, whatever it takes, right? So I mean, it's a deterrent, or at least it's incentive not to.
Yeah.
But that's because we don't have that here. You have to have the barriers, because otherwise, take anything you get. You know, and I think that's the one nice thing is, I'm a driver, obviously, and I'm fly. What's that from Independence Day?
Nice.
I'm fly. I'm pilot. Anyway, but because I'm not out to lunch on that kind of stuff. I'm like, if I've been out there and the barrier's gotten blown out. Like when we go forward and we go into turn 4 up here, and that barrier gets blown, I'm taking it.
Yeah, you go wider and wider.
Yeah. I'm not gonna oh guys, we're not supposed to do that. Hell yeah, I'm gonna take that. And I know that if we don't have something there, or you just keep pushing it out, we're gonna keep going as far out until we get a wooded. So
well, as soon as you don't, that guy behind you is taking it and getting to run the guy in front of you. Pulling away a little bit.
What are you gonna do? Get upset about it?
Yeah.
No, you blew it, man. So. You didn't take it. Jeez.
Do it.
But yeah, I mean, I think that, and I agree with you 100%. Yeah. You get the technical courses back in the day that were prevalent. Like those are the only ones available
for sure.
And then now they are, let's call them, not the frequent ones that you would normally go to for like the big events, like big national events. We're talking, 30 feet plus.
They can't hold
flowy.
RVs. They can't,
Right.
They just can't hold it.
Exactly. So you get started at Adams, and you're doing we're talking mid-90s, so things are kind of growing on the junior side, right? Because generally speaking, it's not for kids in the beginning.
No.
It's for adults. and so as a kid here in SoCal getting a chance to go race and stuff like that, because I was up north in Canby, Oregon, and not nearly as many people as racing down here, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's Portland Karting Association, and there's a bunch of like Yamahas and 4-strokes and stuff like that, but the junior classes are just starting to come on, like junior sportsmen and stuff like that. But 4-strokes juniors wasn't so good. Down here, who are you racing with at the time, wheel to wheel, and how are you doing? It's home track, but it's home track to everybody.
Yeah, home track to everybody, like you said. Who was I racing? Like I said, Jesus, Matt Johnson, Lloyd, Derek Zimmerman was coming up at the time. Travis Irving, he was killing it. Dodson, David Dawson.
Yeah.
Him and his dad were pretty much unbeatable. A lot of guys thought that they would swear up and down that he was cheating because he would win almost every race for
Really?
sure. Oh yeah.
Dodson would.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Domination. Like dominate. Yeah, so he was pretty much, I would say, probably one of the hardest drivers to beat, him and Colin Fleming.
Oh, Colin.
Yeah,
that's a name I haven't heard for a while.
Yeah, Doug and his son, they pretty much got the motor thing figured out, and they were putting beatings on fools.
How big were the fields?
Back in the day, on average, you would have 32 to 35 on average for like a club event.
How many of those guys do you think had a shot to win?
And and this is for the juniors?
For the juniors.
And
yeah.
He just named a bunch of guys I know that could win. But
yeah, like I said, like back then, realistically, at any, even now, you have probably like 10 to 15 guys that could win. Because, if you're 2/10 off, you pretty much, you're top, 5 to 6 car. Yeah. Catching those, the top runners, if you're 2/10 off, they have to make a mistake, after another, because they're going to put together, some laps.
Yeah.
And that's a tough joint to pass on.
Yeah, it's a real tough track. And we used to travel the circuit, go to Paris, Adams, and then
what was the circuit back then? What all the tracks did you have? Because we actually had Cameron Jocelyn on the show.
Yeah, so
he got going a little bit later than that as a cadet.
Yeah, so the first race we would go to was Prim State Line. That was the kickoff race. That was like the big race everybody would go to, big hay bale track.
This is the Region 7 you're talking about.
Yeah, that was the start of the season before all the clubs would even kick off. So we would do the Region 7. That's why when people complain about the barriers, hay bales were a lot worse.
Oh man,
a lot worse. They don't push over.
Yeah,
no, you see the SuperNats, they've been putting up some of the old school footage like Sam Boyd and whatnot.
Yeah, the hay bales.
I actually got a chance to do a hay bale. I say a hay bale race. It was a street course in Centralia, Washington, and it was around Centralia College, and they had hay bales there. And I did not hit a hay bale. I saw some guys hit it, but a guy did hit a hay bale in front of me at some point, and I came out of the corner, and it had drug the straw in the exit part of the line. And when you come around with hot tires, it just
wraps it right up.
Wraps it up. So I got this ball. And that thing's trying to catch fire on the brake rotor because all the heat. It's nuts, man.
Yeah.
And that's all they had was hay bales back, and there's no Tech Pros or anything.
No. Like I said, and then we went to, so then we would come back down here to like Paris and then Adams, and then what was Agamonza. There was like tracks that they're not even open now, but like Agamonza, and then we run Old Bakersfield.
What's
Willow.
Agamonza?
It was
I've heard of Umago.
Yeah, Agamonza was I don't even remember where it was at, but it was like you're driving on like the sand
to get through there.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, but it was a nice track though. A lot of tracks we would do even on like the ovals.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
God.
Kind of like Irwindale. We run at Irwindale every once in a while.
I know LAKC used to be at Irwindale.
That's where they started.
Yeah.
Or no, actually they started
at San Diego up at the is it Petco or what's
Qualcomm.
Yeah, Qualcomm Stadium. Yeah, they were running in the parking lot there, and then they moved down.
Wow.
So yeah, we raced pretty much all over.
How long did you do the driving for?
I drove for probably like 6 or 7 years and stopped, and then just started working for people.
6 or 7 years. That's gonna put you what? How old are you at that point? Out of school, out of high school and everything.
Yeah, so 2000, I pretty much had stopped and started working for people.
Gotcha.
Like 99, 2000, I was pretty much like.
Now, why did you stop racing?
I just love working for like other people, like I'm just winning.
Got it. So for you,
for me, it's like because even when I won like some IKF races and it was cool and stuff, but
Well, let's hit pause on that. What classes were you racing then, and where did you win, or what were
Yamaha, the 4-hole can, and the 3-hole can, the junior stuff, and stuff like that.
What where did you? Were they Adams or did you win?
Yeah, Adams, and then I won one at what was that track in Vegas before they shut down called? Xplex. Because me and Troy, which Troy's actually been in a lot of stuff. The first owners were called Apple. They went down to Troy and said, we want to build a track out in Vegas. Can you come help us? And he's like, sure.
Who's this?
At the Apples. That was the first owner of Xplex.
I don't know.
It was this black lady. She was married to this guy who wanted to, start up a racing. So, we go up there in Vegas, and he lays the layout down. So we pretty much, got got firsthand on the track.
You guys
and
have
everything.
been around well.
That's insane. We've been around forever. Yeah, Troy's been,
That's
forever.
awesome, dude.
Yeah, so I won there, and it was a pretty good deal. I like racing.
I've driven past Xplex a few times now, and it's just
Yeah, now
concrete.
it's
just a patch of concrete out there.
Yeah.
So you went from racing juniors into what would be seniors,
yeah, like my
right?
first year, I think I ran like senior, and then I was just like, I started working for this guy named Adam and Joe Adavelli, yeah. And they had a Burrell, running Gators and Rotax, and the kid got good really quick. So then I just started working with him, and he won his first race. And
how did you get that first gig? Are they seeing that you're out here running, or
like I said,
are you working at Adams or anything?
Yeah, I was working at Adams for that school speed zone.
Oh, that's
so
right,
when I was
right.
teaching all the kids and stuff like that, his dad just liked me, and then he's like, "Yeah, you want to go racing."
How comfortable did you feel right away, Eric, with coaching? Did it come naturally pretty quickly? Or?
Yeah, and I just love teaching kids and making them faster. Just like right now, I can help anybody. It don't matter what you run, I just like to see you do good.
So you went from being the wheelman yourself to going, but you were doing the coaching at the same time.
Yeah, same time.
Through you were racing, and then in your teens you're doing the coaching. Mm-hmm. Then you get hooked up on this gig, and that's when you kind of go, wow, actually I really enjoy this side of the fence.
Yeah.
And so, do you have
cost less?
Definitely cost less.
Making money, not spending money.
Definitely cost less. Like I said, learn a lot from Troy. He definitely taught me stuff like that.
Nice.
So. Yeah. You go and make that transition, and is that really the end of the racing for Stephen Clark, or are you still doing one-offs here?
I still doing racing. Like I said, I stopped and then I came back, and Lloyd Mack brought out the LO206s back in the day, and I ran a couple of those races, and then recently I started doing a couple of those races again. But yeah, when they first came out, no one really ran the 4-stroke back then because everybody hopped onto the Leopards and the Rocks and this and that. So, I was like, sure, come on back.
So you end up doing a little bit of that 206 stuff. And actually I'd seen you here, just as a customer / track guy, whatever, being around and whatnot. But I didn't really know you all that well. And then we actually got a chance to work with each other.
Yeah.
On the KPX races. Yeah, the KPX races up there. And that's when I found out this guy is a genius.
Right. Yeah.
And one of the other things that I like about Steven too is that not only is he really smart about all the different things going on, but it's not frantic, and it's very controlled. The thought processes and how you go through the tuning. It's not like, oh man, we got to throw all this crap at. No, man, it's just
making it worse,
one thing at a time.
Yeah, you're making it worse.
And then also, I noticed how you're able to watch what's going on. And I expect that out of a lot of the old school cats. Like, obviously I run with Jim Barry. And I hear it from like Lloyd Mack and all these guys have been around a long time, and their ability to watch and listen and see things on course, and then take that information and add it to whether their driver's good or not at feedback. Yeah. But I saw you were able to do the same thing, like working with Sophia Story up there, and your ability to watch what she's doing. And we take her feedback and go, okay, well, the car kind of looks like this, or you already have an idea which direction you want to go by the time the driver comes in.
Yeah, a lot of times nowadays, the news guys, they'll just basically rely on the data, computers, and that's really not the best way to go about it. It is when you want to fine tune, when you're there and you're maybe like a 10th off, and you're maybe just hurting on one section. You can look at it and say you need to go deeper. Getting to this corner. But if you look at the person's driving and they say, my car's sliding, but then you tell them you never got off the gas.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Why are they sliding?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it the car or the driver?
You're just telling me that the car is loose. I understand that, but there's a reason why the car is loose. You never slow down. But if you're looking and he's getting off the gas, or
if he's doing stuff right,
if they're doing stuff right, then you can tell them, okay, we need to adjust the car, or maybe adjust the approach that you're taking the corner. But just to say, you're loose or you're sliding, that really doesn't help me when you're looking at the data, because the data just shows a line. A lot of people don't say that. I say, oh, you messed up right here, maybe you need to hit the brake a little harder. I mean, the data never showed that, they're taking it in there 100%, so you just got to do both. You can't just rely on the data. It's not a good idea.
I mean, for me, I have to agree with you, because while I got a chance to work with a couple of awesome people in the data game, Joey and Enzo over at Nash at SuperNats, and it was my first opportunity to work with people of their caliber on the data game, and I know a very little, just a little bit about data, and ironically, I actually learned it from iRacing, because you can use mode tech in iRacing, and that's how I learned a bunch of stuff on there. So I got a basic gist on how the system works, right? But their ability to, they're fast and like, oh, it's this stuff, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, damn, right? It'll take me 15 minutes just to get so we can look at it,
Yeah. You saw me trying to turn on a GoPro earlier. So
and that's the big thing, too. I tell all my drivers, you have to have a GoPro.
Oh.
Okay. See, now, don't lie.
Yeah.
It does not lie.
That's something that, real quick on the end of the data thing, is to your point about the fine-tuning. Yes. Like, I was comparing, obviously I was running X30 Masters, and the guy I'm comparing to is one of the best in the business, Matt Johnson. So I'm like, if I can even be remotely close to Matty, then, hey, I've got a shot. Not bad, and it was really cool to be able to see just the small differences in the two of ours, I think, driving style, watching him, because we were in different sessions most of the time, watching him drive, looking at the data and seeing how those two things correlate. But to your point, looking at it and being able to see it firsthand, not just off the computer screen.
Yeah.
And then, I agree with you 100%. The GoPro thing, like, I still did coaching. Like, when I moved down here, I was still coaching people that I knew from the Northwest, and even people over in Europe and stuff like that off their video.
Yeah.
And especially if it's on their helmet. Now, a lot of that's tough these days because of stupid helmet camera rules and crap, but when it's on the lid, man, you can learn so much
easier.
Yeah. Are you looking to the corner? Yeah. No, because your video says you ain't. Like, you may be doing it with your eyeballs, but this, and you can see all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you can catch
video.
a lot of with the GoPro. You can catch if they're off the gas. You can even catch if they're on the gas full throttle and your wiring harness is cutting out, because you'll get a lot of the motor will seem like it's running full power, but it'll start to stutter. Well, and
look at that right foot.
Exactly. If it's pegged, you have either a bad ground or bad, something's wrong with the wiring, because it's not supposed to cut out.
Man,
a lot of people you'll hear and you're like, oh, okay, and they're not fixing what's wrong with even the motor. Oh, let's put another gear on it. Okay, that's good.
We got to throw
gears at all. Get the gear. Let me know how it works out.
You got an electrical problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
How many of the because you work with quite a few top drivers too under the PGR tent and whatnot. But how many of these top guys are doing the data?
Pretty much everybody's doing the data now, and they're getting into it because you really need it. But like I said, that's for fine tuning.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I tell even like me and Matt, like you say, Matt Johnson's a top driver. We go to the fence and actually watch people drive. I mean, I could tell you to take the corner full throttle, but unless you actually see it being done, you're never going to believe me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, you want to try Adams. So after the little Monza, back to turn 13 is full throttle. So that's like 6 turns, and it's full throttle.
That's like kind of a set of S's and stuff like that.
Exactly. But it's full throttle. But if I tell you that, you're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, right. But if you see it, you're like, I could do that.
Right.
I'm like, that's easy. I got that.
Man. Or at least you get the confidence that, well, it's been done.
Exactly.
And they stuck it. So exactly. I got a shot.
Yeah. So if you actually go watch what people are doing, how they're taking the turn, like for this track at California, Silk's a major turn.
Yeah.
It's a really big turn. Like
honestly comes down, sometimes it's who's got bigger balls than the other guy,
Exactly. But in order to take it there, you got to be at the right angle to take the turn full throttle or barely lifting, however, whatever, motor you're in. But it's a high speed turn.
Yeah.
If you actually never seen it, you're not going to go fast. You're going to be hitting the brake hard and all types of stuff.
And when you're in the top 3 there, or that top group, and you're not far off, it doesn't take much for you to have that much more of a slip up there.
Yeah.
Like I've driven that corner a ton of times, and I feel good there. And at Challenge, I was backing out and lifting and coasting too much, whatever it was. But I'm like, man, I don't feel good with going through there flat out right now, And I look at Saragusa's data, And I'm like, well, apparently you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and that's the other thing, too, is like you said about watching them and then on the coaching side of things and kind of going, trust me on this thing. You got to, do these things and you're going to be all right. But just that visual watching a driver do something, and you can start finding those tendencies and things like that. Or, and the other thing is if you have it on the video and they're out there with one of their relatively, their competitors that they're close, you can go, you see how they're doing this? And they're only 3 inches wider. Well, that's 3 inches of real estate. See where you're at. For instance, up here when we go counterclockwise into that, I still call it turn 4 regardless of direction. But going into that corner, and I'm working with some of our drivers. I'm like, hey, you need to get wider. I'm all the way out. I'm like, yeah, no,
you're not even on the paint.
Get exactly. Over. Your right sides are on the paint, maybe. It's you've got another I know because we measured it out. It's 3 feet. Because that's where we put the barrier. You got 3 feet over there, bro. And 3 feet is a ton. It's half a cart width. And what that does for your turn-in. So getting a chance to look at the video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's huge. Now, that's fairly new, the video game. I mean, that's what. So when you were coaching the kids, it was, you learned all visual. Yes. It was just, you had to go out there and watch. There was no data. We had the old Digitrons back in the day. But
what we started off with, and what you see a lot of the big teams do, a lot of the head mechanics like Seth, Phil, a lot of the top guys, we have a stopwatch and we do splits. That's pretty much what you see us doing. We're doing splits because we know that the time that you need to take to get to a certain point to win a race. Because that's like a button willow, the 180s, is what wins races. The straightaway and all that means nothing.
Yeah, I just got a chance to go do button willow.
Yeah,
and we were talking just prior to getting on here, and I always like to walk the track before. I didn't know this, so if you haven't done, anybody who's listening, if you haven't done SuperNats before, and you want to walk the track, you better get there on Tuesday.
Oh yeah,
I had no idea. Because I worked, and then I was like, I'll come in Wednesday morning. Or, maybe during a lunch break or whatever. You basically have Tuesday night when they basically open up. You get Tuesday
7
night.
o'clock or something like that.
And here's your chance. That is your only chance to walk the track. So what's interesting about that, from what I could tell, it sounded like you couldn't really do it after hours or anything like that, too. They kind of...
Yeah, they have a curfew.
Yeah, they kind of shut that thing down. Yeah. The thing about that, which is interesting, is you can't see how the track develops.
Yeah,
which is a little bit tough. And... what I learned was, again, I was trying to learn the tire and like that too, so a bunch of other crap I had to figure out. But not having that baseline, I felt like my ability to learn was a lot tougher because I didn't have the visual. Now, that being said, going out there and walking a track you've never been on, there's not a lot of context there. I'll watch a video for a track. Going for, so I actually found Billy Musgrave's video for Button Willow in his X30 from 2018 or something like that. And that's how I learned the course, right? But what video does not do a very good job of is it does not do a very good job of, especially the new GoPros with all the vibration stuff.
The bumps.
The bumps. You can't see the bumps. And it doesn't do a good job of elevation change either, right? So that's why I try to walk the track. At least see, the oh my God stuff. I did not get an opportunity to walk Button Willow because of all the crap I had going on. The first time I learned about the bumps in turn 1 was warm up, or was the first practice.
And you did your outlap pull off.
Hello, son, man. Well, the thing is, I had parts falling off and crap like that out of the gate, so I didn't get a chance to go that quick.
It was so bumpy.
There you go.
But there's a bump on the front straightaway off. If you're far right. Just before the braking zone, about the braking zone, if you're far right, you're okay. If you go for any kind of pass, you're going to go right over that thing. And then there's a bump right in the middle of turn 1, the apex. There's another one at turn 3. Anyway, there's these, to your point about the 180s. They're key.
Yeah, it's everything.
And it's a weird track. There's stuff that you can't tell on the video.
Yeah.
But you can sometimes pick up. So I did finally get a chance to walk the track. Let's see, we went out. That was Saturday I missed. So for the track walk. But then Sunday morning I went out there. And I'm like, Oh, and this is after qualifying, this is
Right.
after all that. Now, I did figure out how to get over the bumps eventually, but I walked the track and I'm like, God damn it. Like, if I had just gotten a chance to walk this, this would have been a lot easier instead of me just trying to figure out how to do this the entire time.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, granted, I was still able to do halfway decent, but man, a track walk is
crucial.
Is a big deal.
Crucial.
Do you go out and do track walks with your drivers?
Yeah. First lap, I let them tell me what they think is correct.
So you do multiple laps around the track.
The best way to walk it is in reverse. Whatever layout that they're going to do, walk in reverse. Because where you walk in reverse is the race line that you want to be in, coming out of the corner and entering the corner.
Remember, maybe Derek, you remember this? I had told you before when I first started walking tracks when I was doing indoor karting, and yeah, they would even lay rubber down and whatnot there, but you could actually see where you wanted to be. But I told you about this where I like to get down on a knee and kind of look at the entry. Mm-hmm. I'll kind of go in the middle, but then I'll go to the exit. And I'll look back at the course, because if you can basically walk it backwards. That's the trajectory that you want to have.
You're seeing the angle, yeah.
And you're I'm sure this is common knowledge to anybody who does these, but that's the first time I've heard anybody say that. Walk it backwards.
Walk it backwards, yeah. That's normally our third lap, because the first lap, like I said, they tell me where they think the braking line is and the turn-in points. Second lap, I tell them where I would be. Third lap, we go backwards.
And what kind of thing are you, aside from the lines, which is what we're talking about mostly, what are you looking for as well? Given your experience, are you looking for little cues? Are you looking at that point? And let me back this up too. Let's say that you are coaching somebody at SuperNats, and you're not going to get a chance to get on course, and you've never been on that course before, so you don't have like, hey, I've done this before, I got this. How do you approach it in that regard, where you are trying to find the cues that maybe they can't find?
First session of the day, after we walk the track, we basically work on one sector at a time till you get it right, whatever you think is right compared to, we won't go on data because, like I said, the track's green or whatever the case may be. But if you hit the apex right and you're coming out of the corner right and RPMs are looking good on the micron, then we'll go from there to the next sector. But if you just try to basically perfect the whole track, it's not going to work.
Especially if it's a new driver. It's going to be
even if you're
overload.
A pro, because, you have so many people on the track to where it's like in the sections, you're 7 minutes, 8 minutes. So you're getting 6-7 laps, and people are all in your way. So first section, let's work on maybe section 1, section 2. Maybe it's just 180 and then a couple of turns. So you need to just focus on a couple sectors and then move on from there. Because later on,
break the track up and do the first section. Okay,
jam that. Maybe turn 1 through 4, and then maybe the second section. Yeah, we'll work on the next, because it's a long day and no one's trying to win practice. You're not going to get a trophy at the end of practice. So let's build up to it before to qualifying. Yeah, because that's what it basically ends up to. So you want to perfect all the sectors till you get to qualifying. So just take it easy. Don't try to break the track record. Those first 2 sectors. That's how people end up in the barriers and hurt and all types of stuff, because they're trying to win the race.
Try to get it done right here. Yeah. First session.
Then, my ribs are hurting and this and that. You're like, dude, just take it easy. You got
we got 5 more days of this, right?
Just take it easy.
It just popped in my head right now because we're talking about it, and I'm thinking back to SuperNats and whatnot. On Super Sunday, I tried out wheels I hadn't tried yet, and it was what everybody else is running, but
it's a bad move too.
But I hated it, and I went back to what I had. How important, just what's your 2 cents on it? I've even skipped morning warm up before. Not I've only done one SuperNats, but at other races, I've even skipped morning warm up. This is on a multi-day deal, so I already knew what I had. It's like a pro kart. Right, we did qualifying the day before. I pretty much know what I have.
The morning warm up. Yeah,
especially if it's damp. I'll piss on it. Yeah. I'll just wait for the race.
If it's damp, you don't want to go out there. But if it's if you were trying something, let's say you're fast, but you just say, I need a little bit more top end or just a little bit more grip, let's try these wheels. But then it goes back to the same thing. You're not trying to break the track record. You're trying to figure out if the wheels actually work.
And what I found that was a pain in the ass on that is not only was it now, had I done it with freshies, if I had done it with a brand new set of tires, that might have been smarter. I didn't have any, so I was using a good set from practice or whatever, right? But then we were pretty early in the day, I think, and the track sucked and stuff like that. So I'm like, I didn't get any good information out of that. So where I'm going with that is, how important is it? What do you utilize morning warm up for as a tuner? Because you're not going to be out there. So if you're
if we were fast, like I said, if the driver was confident and we were fast, I would just use it as far as handling, not even speed, because the driver's got to feel confidence when the green flag drops. You got to be at race pace. You can't be half second off, because that half second you're never going to gain back.
So you're doing a small, like either
air pressure. Or like I said, if we were on old tires for the practice, first couple practices, then we want to put new ones on and see what the car is going to do. Because if your car's good, normally 9 times out of 10, if your car's good on old tires, that means you have a lot of grip in your car.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you put new tires on, you're going to want to dial grip out, because you're going to be like, man, this thing turns too good. Yeah. It's like something's weird, and you never go fast. Some people even go slower.
That's literally what happened to me when I first started doing two-stroke stuff. When in like 2006 or so, I was running Prilla Leopard, and I'd always go slower. Now, there was all kinds of issues. It was all driver. I didn't have enough practice, and I wasn't getting enough seat time, and also the kinds of crap. I was still learning how to drive outdoor, because this is my transition from indoor.
Indoor, yeah.
And it's a hell of a jump, by the way, indoor to the 125, but I would always go slower in qualifying. Or I wouldn't get the jump. Like everybody, they're worth blank amount of tenths or whatever, and I'd like be the same or like not as fast. And I'm like, what the hell? And it was 100% because two things, I think. One, I had so much grip dialed into the car so I would feel comfortable that when I put new tires on there, it was more than I needed or did. Well, I wouldn't even say overstuck, but like he said, it would turn too good.
Easy, right.
And now it almost feels loose. When because the front end's turned so damn good. Yeah. And the other side of it was, as a driver, I couldn't get the most out of the tires anyway at that time. So it was kind of a double whammy. But I like that's interesting you say that on the warm. Now, is there going to be a time where you're like, dude, we're good? Hey, you're going to go out there, you're going to shake it down.
Yeah, if you were fast, like I say, if you were fast top 5, I sometimes I won't even go out there. There's really no need. I mean, the track never changes. The corner stays the same. So, unless it's raining or something like that.
What are you testing morning warm-up conditions for? You're not going to be back out there.
Exactly. You're not going to be out. You got 2-3 hours.
It's kind of like skipping the first practice session altogether. It's like, to me, that's a shakedown session altogether. That's when you shake your battery right out of the side of the...
Nice.
That was just what I did.
Yeah, people crash into you, ruin your whole go-kart.
Yeah. On your first session of the weekend.
Exactly, for morning warm-up.
Because they're going for the track record right out of the gate.
They do it. I see it happen all the time. It's crazy.
So, done coaching for a while now. You've been driving on and off, but, I see out here all the time you work with beginner kids. You work with guys like Matt and Vachi, a bunch of talented drivers. What do you enjoy doing more, you think? Getting the kids started or trying to get that W, with one of those top guys?
That's probably a hard call, because I really like winning, but to see a kid do good that, either first started off or, was struggling, it's pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I might have to go that route. I kind of like the kids to see them happy and their parents are smiling. So
right.
Yeah, it's a pretty good feeling.
Have you? What are some drivers you've worked with? Maybe just like that, whether they're a kid or not, whether they weren't so hot out of the gate, and you were kind of their coach through the ups and downs.
Just recently, like Sophia, she was struggling a little bit, and then I started working with her for a little while, and she's been pulling together a few wins.
Yeah.
This kid named Lane, he's a cadet kid. He just started off. It's actually first full year and a half. This is second year going in, and he's actually picked up the pace quite a bit. So, pretty happy for him.
He's gotten pretty damn good.
Yeah, like I said, he's pretty good. I mean,
he's figured it out quick.
Lane. Now, obviously, I'm not here. And Sundays is when they come out. So I'm not here. What's Lane? What's the name?
Lane Kim. Yeah, he's a Korean kid.
Oh, is that man? He had a rough go of it at
Challenge.
He had the flip.
He flipped
twice.
Yeah,
right.
he flipped. Yeah,
didn't he flip twice or crashed? No,
he
one
crashed
flip and then
flipped.
Keegan and him got together. I think.
Little Keegs.
Yeah, but like I said, that
names.
happens when you run up front because, it's hit and miss, and you try to make a move, and it closes pretty fast. So.
And especially with the kids, it's going to happen more so up front with them than anywhere else.
Yeah, it's kind of what I told them. Don't get discouraged because it's not going to be your only flip. I mean, it's going to happen.
Actually, talking about the cadets and whatnot, we were talking to Cameron about Cameron Jocelyn when he was on the show about that teaching the cadets because he's been working with Enzo for a few years here, right? Yeah. And they just made the transition to juniors. I've mentioned a few times that I actually am not a fan of doing any tuning on the cadets and stuff like that because I've never been in I don't know how the car works, not specifically versus a full size car.
Yeah.
As I mean, for your experience, how do you adjust, or what is the differences on the tuning side, not the driver coaching side, but on the tuning side of the cadet car versus an adult car, or what are the different directions you go with that?
So full size to cadet, pretty much what I've learned is everything's in reverse. So on a full size car, if the track's got a lot of grip, it all depends on which kind of grip too, you want to go harder on the axle.
Stiffen up the rear end.
Yes. So on the cadet, you go opposite, softer. Like they even have extreme soft axles, like real thin soft, to where you hit a curb, it's going to bend.
Now, is that because the wheelbase is so short?
Yeah.
It doesn't have as much flex,
as
much
and the
twist?
diameter of the tubing on the car.
Right.
I mean, it all plays a factor too. I mean, so you just gotta. All that comes with practice, and you can't be, during practice. You can't be afraid to try stuff. A lot of people that just go out there, run laps, and never really try anything. I mean, it's okay to just to put in laps, but maybe one time drop the frame, raise the frame. Maybe drop the front.
Just to see what it does, right?
Yeah. Just to see. I mean, we're out here practicing. It's not a race day. It's a beautiful time to try it. It's easy to try stuff like that too. You don't take, but a few minutes to, maybe take a bar out, drop the front right high.
Might as well.
Yeah, just try it because you really don't know what it's going to do until you try it. And if you wait till the actual rubber comes in, you're going to be behind the 8-ball.
Yeah.
So on the cadet side, like we were talking to Cameron about it, right? And he said, what you're trying to do is you're trying to essentially have a physics homework session or whatever with a 9 or 10-year-old or whatever, right? So let's say that you don't have an experienced cadet driver, so that maybe the feedback's going to be a bit tough. Obviously, we talked earlier about watching what the car's doing. Is that something you're going to mess with a newer driver at all? Or are you going to be just try some different things out without really roping him in? Or how's that work?
At first hand, you don't want to try too many things because you don't want to make the car too loose to where they just, they're constantly trying to catch the go-kart. But you do want to put that in place to where you're telling them, I'm going to make the car as loose as possible, just so you know what it's going to feel like. And then, you can bring it back in. But a lot of kids now, when I got back into cadets, I used to deal with a lot of cadets, just nothing with cadets, and then I did full size. And I noticed a lot of the mechanics now are trying to go narrow wheelbase with these cadet karts. Well, I'm going opposite because when we were fast, it's not like we're going back in the PRD days. I used to have a PRD class for the cadets. They were a lot faster than these minis and micros.
Right.
So we were going faster back then, so why are we going narrower now? I mean, if you tell me that the rule is 50 inches, I'm going to go like 50 and an eighth.
Right.
So why am I running 40 something?
Well, you sacrificing it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, for example, a senior kart, it's 55 inches and an eighth, a little bit over 55. Mm-hmm. So you're pretty much, when you do your guideline, you're right there. It used to be 50. That was the rule, 50 inches. They gave you 5 more. Why do they give you 5 more? It's faster. Wider wheelbase is faster, so why are all these cadets, they're narrow? It doesn't make sense to me, and that's why.
And that's what's interesting, too, about, say,
you gotta try it.
The VLR on the 206, it's 50.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the people, the kids, they don't know that the car's loose, they can't handle it, because when you run that wide, it's going to be free. I mean, it is. So when they first try it, they're like, oh, I can't handle it. And then you look at your stopwatch, it tells everything. You're like, oh, okay. But then when they're comfortable in the car and they're like, oh, the kart's good, you ask your driver, how's the go-kart? And they're like, it's good, it's perfect. You're like, okay, well, I'm 7/10 off. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of like what I was talking about when I first got into it, right? Is I had so much grip built into it to be comfortable. Well, comfortable doesn't mean it's fast.
Yeah.
You know? Like if everybody's heard loose is fast before, well, there's a reason. You got that slip angle. You've got that rotation. The car is getting around the corner instead of pushing the front end off or, being bound up or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Just got to try it and practice.
I might have to get back into the old cadet coaching game here.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's easier. They're easier to work on. It's a smaller frame. I just love it.
It sounds like some of the times too, it's from the going from the full size kart to the cadet kart in terms of the tuning, it's a bigger swing than you would take in the full size kart because of smaller wheelbase.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that kind of tough to figure out, you think, or?
Like I said, each driver is different because like when I was teaching Adam Motorsports and Dante and Hannah Grisham all at the same time, they all drive differently. You couldn't put the same. We all had the same go-karts. There were Paralyn cadet karts that we were running with PRDs, and we were winning pretty much. They were all finished 1, 2, 3, pretty much anywhere we go. So you can't put the same axle in each driver because I may go in a little bit deeper than you. I may turn the wheel harder than you do. It's just two different things. That's why you got to go watch the driver and see how they're actually doing. Because a lot of drivers will say they're pushing and they're really not pushing. You just gotta go out there and watch.
That reminds me 100% of the KPX stuff when we were up there.
Yeah,
it was in 2017, so it was all fairly new, right? I mean, 206 had been going, right? And David Vasquez, who was my teammate, but he was in senior, and I was in masters up there. He had won the championship the year before. I'm pretty sure he won the championship the year before, but he was on a Tony the whole time until the last race. So the VLR game was still pretty new, and we were all kind of figuring it out and whatnot. And you were talking about how every driver is going to be different, and as far as turning different or whatever. And it totally reminds me of the conversation I've had so many times up there. And now, what's Sophia's dad's name? Why am I
Jay
Story? Yeah, he always gives me a hard time about this because I always say I drive off the ass.
Yes,
and David drives off the front or whatever. Yeah. I drive off the back of the car. Right. And Derek, you and I have talked about this. Getting to your point about driving differently. Derek drives off the front more. He's transitioned more
to try to get the rear.
But it's always been like if the front ain't doing what he wants to do, it's going to be a tough day, on that turn in. For me, I'll just go in harder and back the bitch in.
That's what I mean, yeah.
But I drive off that, the outside rear tire a good amount, and he's driving off pretty much that inside front, if you will. But yeah, going up there and talking to those guys, so they basically we were all at Shasta working on. I don't think you were at Shasta yet. I think first time I worked with you, I think was actually it was Fresno.
No, I think
wasn't it Fresno, the Fresno race?
No, it was one before that.
Because we did Prairie City, we did Shasta, which is a one-off. It was just the super regional.
I thought
Prairie
Shasta
City was the first points race.
Was it Davis?
I wasn't at Davis. You know what? I think I might have missed a race. Because Reno was the last race. Fresno was the Grands.
Yes.
Where the hell else did we race? Man, why can't I remember that season? Fresno we raced.
Wait, what's the
we even flew in together, didn't we? What track was
one
that?
time?
Yeah.
What's the one that looks like has the crazy banking like an oval?
Oh, yes.
That was the season finale. That was
I know we were talking about.
But what track is that
drove
called?
that track.
God dang it! What is that track? It's not around anymore. They tore it down.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Dixon?
Dixon.
Was that Dixon?
That track was kind of. I mean.
No, Atwater.
Atwater. That's what
Atwater.
it is.
The banking one is Atwater.
They tore that track down?
That's what I heard.
That's bad. That's a good track.
It's been around for a long time. I heard.
It's a good track.
The driving doesn't look hard, but it looks fun to race on because it's just.
You know what?
I don't know.
It was fun once.
It's
but
actually,
if that was my club, like if I had to run that track all the time, I don't know, man. That'd get old.
It was actually pretty good. The banking, you could pass in there, coming out for that next right-hander.
Yeah, it was pretty.
It was pretty
sketchy.
I mean,
There's a lot of issues in that turn too, man. Yeah, we did a banking
video.
Yeah, then you go down the hill.
Man,
Shit.
man, oh man, that was a good time. But yeah, so we got a chance for each other. But where I was going with that whole, I'm gonna edit all that crap out. I can't think of where the hell we were. Yeah, so when we were working on setups and stuff like that, and David drives out the front too. That front end's got to do what he loves having caster in the car. Has a wider front end, all sorts of kinds of stuff, right? Meanwhile, my setup is completely different than his. Like I'm like full narrow in the front. Yeah. I got no caster in it. I'm trying to widen the rear end out, and also because I'm backing the thing into the corner all the time. Anyway, where I'm going with all that is being able to watch what's going on and recognize that there are different driving styles and different setups for those driving styles, and each one can be fast to a certain extent. There is a point where my way is going to be slower, and his way is going to be faster, or vice versa. But being able to recognize that the driver's doing that thing, so you can't just do a blanket setup. Yeah, you can have a baseline, sure, but like when I moved to the OTK for the KA stuff, just leave it stock. Essentially, once the seat was in the right spot.
I was about to say, if the seat's in the right position, man. OTK, if there's something wrong, it's the driver.
Yeah, I hate
to say it.
I was just listening.
It's the driver.
And I'll tell you what, we were at Monterey, and I was driving that thing for the first time. It was the FA, right? And so this is Matt Johnson's car.
Oh, from Utah.
This is last year, and it's we just got it. Jim Barry just got it, and he just put it together, and we were putting the seat in at the track at Monterey, and haven't turned a lap in this thing. Don't know. I haven't been in an OTK. This is a 19. None of this kind of crap. And I go out and I am struggling with this thing. And I'm talking to Maddie. I'm talking to Freck. I'm talking to
You're
Tyler.
calling OTK. You're filing a complaint.
Yeah. And it's not. I'm not blaming the car because I know this thing is good. Right. Maddie just got done kicking ass at Utah with it, and I'm learning the track. That's a thing, right? So maybe it's it's definitely me, but in how is happening, right? And it turns out we ended up having I think probably the wrong seat in, soft seat or whatever, and definitely in the wrong spot because we put that thing in the right spot, and it was Gregorian chants and light coming from the cloud. It was phenomenal, and that same go-kart is what we had at Lancaster when it was just a frickin' rail. And it could do no wrong. So to have everything on the baseline, I actually Alan Rudolph was on the eKarting News face-to-face thing yesterday, and he was talking about the Burrell. Like basically, he was not just Burrells, but any new go-kart, really, right? The go-kart's good. Like out of the box, don't go throwing a bunch of crap at it.
Just go drive.
Put the damn thing together and go drive.
They R&D it for a reason.
Yeah, they put a bunch of time into it. The baseline setup is made for that go-kart, so go do that baseline setup before you start effing around with anything. Because, well, I did all this with the OTK. Well, it's not an OTK. It's a Burrell, or vice versa, or whatever. Just drive the base and go from there. Yeah, you have that kind of issue because you're working with the Ricardo kart, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is essentially a Burrell.
It's the same as the Burrell and the Charles Leclerc's.
Gotcha.
The comp kart and the Fullertons, those are different.
It's all Freeline stuff.
Yeah, all Freeline stuff, but they put their own components and stuff like that on there, like the magnesium hubs and stuff like that. The Fullerton, they'll do different designs as far as 28 millimeter, 30. They'll change some stuff up like that, but for the most part, it's all Freeline tubing, just different color paint, just like the OTKs.
Yeah. So on those cars, and like you had said before, it's OTK is the brand that's prevalent, right? It's the one that's out there. It's not the only one doing donuts in Victory Lane. It's a good ride. Yes. But there's the Ricardo's we were just talking I think off camera there about Nick Ramirez. Was Nick on a Ricardo?
Yes, he's on a Ricardo right now.
And right at the sharp end, and that's in KA Senior. Yeah. And you actually ran no surprise, working with the Giebler, but you're on a Ricardo when you go and do the Rock to Rio.
Yes.
So, having been on a few different chassis and whatnot, is there what do you look for as a driver in a chassis? Like, having been on these different, do you drive off the front? Do you drive off the back, or how do you like to?
I'm pretty much a front driver, off the front driver. I like for it to turn in real good, not too good to where you have to correct. So I actually like mine to push a little bit.
Really?
Right. Yeah, just a little, not like crazy, but just a little bit, like a little hesitant.
Did you ever drive those? This is a thing, by the way, on the Fullcaster podcast. We ask a question and then just go off on this other direction, and then I try to remember what the hell I said. You say the push thing. I drove a CRG, a couple of CRGs now. It's been a few years. And it just felt like the front end had this delay, or like a little bit of it was a little numb. Yeah. Like it didn't just point. I hate that. Is that what you're saying? You almost like to have that little...
No, I like for it, if I turn the wheel, it's not where I... Like, for example, what do you call turn 4 right here?
Yeah, it doesn't know what direction. Yeah.
So turn 4, I don't want it, so when I turn the wheel to the right, so we're coming this direction towards us. So if I turn the wheel clockwise. To the right, clockwise, I have to recorrect and then turn it again. I rather for it to, I turn the wheel and it, not like hesitate, but it just gives it just a little bit and then hooks.
So you'd almost rather... If it ain't working, I need to give it a little bit
more wheel. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Because if you turn in too early and you have to correct, that's when it comes loose.
Right.
That's exactly when it comes loose. As soon as you turn the wheel, for the clockwise way, to the left, the back end's going to kick out, and then you're trying to catch it all the way towards the barriers. Instead of like having, just hold it, maybe turn it a little bit more. That's why when I teach a lot of my kids, too, I tell them, I'd rather you miss the corner than turn in early. Because then you're only turning in one time.
Yeah.
Because if you miss the corner and then you're still doing this, you're going to hit the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
100%. Yeah. And the amount of lost time is going to be lower. And I've, when I'm trying to go out there and learn a new course or whatever, my biggest thing is just make sure you don't overdrive the entry.
Yes, make the exit. Exit's crucial. So if you lay apex everything, you can get a better runoff.
Right. So even if I'm off the apex by a foot, god dang, I got to do better there. But I got the drive.
The car was
off.
steady too.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So, but back to the question, what I look for in a kart, it's got to turn in good. So I mean, they all, for the most point, turn in good. Tony karts are a little heavier. That's why they do pretty good, because it's so heavy. It turns in really, really nice.
That was one of the things actually I noticed on when I drove Steve Jasinski's KA. It's an older Tony. It was a Cosmic, sorry. Same bloody thing, but it was like a 2016 or something. And super heavy.
Heavy, yeah.
And that's what I was expecting when I got in the 2019 FA from Maddie. And it wasn't that heavy. In fact, it was like you barely touched the wheel. And I'll tell you, I have happy hands personally. Like I need to settle them down a lot, and that's not good for me. Like I want to drive, even though I talk about wanting to drive off the back. I like to drive the piss out of it.
Yeah, and turn it in.
And that is absolutely not what you're supposed to do with that car. And I'll tell you where it. Speaking of that, by the way, where you. Drive the car too much. One of the things actually I was talking to Derek about was on the iRacing deal was the when he go into the corner and then try to turn a little bit more and like overheating those front tires. This is oval racing, but overheating the front tires, and now they're just going to push and degrade and stuff like that. In that situation, we're all over the bloody place here, but now talking about tires. Are you? When some of these top guys, what are you doing with those guys on tire pressures or managing the tires well? Like, I've only had one race on I had no races actually going into SuperNats on the Reds. I went from the Blues to the Reds as the Vincos, KA to X30, and trying to get the most out of the tire. And I learned that from turn into apex was my biggest issue, because I think of either underdriving or overdriving.
Okay.
After I started thinking about it after a few months or whatever, and then started running again this year, I started realizing that actually I think I was overheating the tires.
Yeah, they get slippery
and starting to get slick. That's a new thing, because I've never had that happen to me on a Blue that I can feel. The Blue seems to be pretty bloody consistent.
Yeah, it's a harder tire for sure. Yeah.
So how do you I don't even really know if there was a question there, but I get just an observation on the tire and the type of driving. Are you finding that you have to, do you tune specifically to your driving, and then do you, again, tune for differently for the tire, or do you basically just do the same bloody thing all the time?
Both, because you tune for the tire with the reds especially, because once you overheat those, they delaminate, or they'll just start to blister and you'll start to tear up the insides. The blues, you pretty much just want to go on the driver, because the low air pressure really doesn't work, and you want them to build the air pressure pretty high, around like 14, 15. And that comes with practice too, because once you come in, you want to bleed them down right then. So right at 14 and just leave them. Because if you call the tire manufacturer, that's where they say they're the best, is like 14, 15 hot. Anything hotter than that, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people try to run them pretty high and they get away with it. But like I said, it's driver preference. And that's why I say that's where it comes in. You got to try it. Because you can be pretty fast the first couple laps and then fall off. And you'll see a lot of guys run like 8 pounds and then they'll come through the field.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a hit and miss what you want to do. I like to keep it right in the middle. It's to where the first couple laps you're fast and you won't fall off. Because if you're fast in the first couple laps and they try to catch you, then we could start racing rather than me have to pass like 8
do all
people.
This work at the second half,
and then have to catch the leader. I mean, it's
I've always
hard.
tried to in the 206 stuff. I used to joke I tried to vettel it.
Right.
Like I wanted to get out to a second.
And then have them.
Well, I say a second. The reason why I said second because the DRS, right? But the reality is, I wanted to get out to hopefully, so they have to team
race.
up. They have to team up if they want to catch me. Exactly. And 9 times out of 10, they don't.
Yeah.
And so now I got a shot, right? Especially here at Calsby with the draft and everything like that. But yeah,
that's where a lot of people falter at SuperNats too, because they don't take into account that it's a short race. So they run their normal, let's run like 9 pounds, 10 pounds.
Gotta get the thing to come in faster than that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, hang with the leaders up there as much as possible.
Man,
I tried
to
build it up.
I did I went from, so the very first time I run the Reds, right? We did a couple of practices here, but like one weekend. So the first time I actually run the Reds proper is SuperNats. The first time I run the X30 and everything like that. And I go out there with like my standard blue pressures. And I'm like, man, this thing sucks. like what in the shit is going on right now? And I talked to Matt, and Matt, the nice thing about Matt, and also the worst thing about Matt, is that there is no, he doesn't ease into it. He's like, you're pressure. You're an idiot. Like, what are you doing? Just totally tears me down. I'm like, yeah.
Your head drops and you just.
He's like, look at your tire wear, and I'm looking. I'm like, well, yeah, I am an idiot. That is absolutely true. The nice thing is, he's not effing around. He gives me the information right away. But the reality is that yes, my tires were so high, the pressure was so high that I crowned them so much, built so much bloody heat into them as well, that I'm not even using the entire patch of the tire. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, that was a situation where the tire pressure, and then he goes, "Hey, try to run this." So I brought it down, and it got better. He goes, "You're still way too high. You're still way too high." I go out there and try to run his low pressure. Nah, I sucked. I couldn't do it.
You gotta get used to it.
Yeah, and it's a different feeling. All the credit to those guys for being as good as they are and being able to do that.
It's a different feeling.
That was what you were telling us when we were doing the VLR with the KA package. A few years ago. It was we were way too high. we were a stupid amount of pressure in those things. But
that was on the blue tire too.
No, for sure. But even then, we were at least 2 pounds higher than I think most of the average.
The opener when we were like 22.
Shit. Mike's like, do 22. I'm like, oh man. All right, what? Anyways, but you're like, no, if you want to get better, you're gonna have to figure out how to run these lower pressures. And there's just that much in it to.
Yeah, and once you figure it out, stick to it. Don't follow anybody and stick to it any track.
Mm-hmm.
Like any track. Like I know, like Jesus's kid. I'm probably giving away his secrets, but like Jesus's kid, he'll run the same exact gear at every track.
What?
Wow. And just drive it.
Same damn gear.
Same gear.
How the hell you pull off that?
Where you get on the gas.
Okay. I mean, I guess don't you think you run
each track is the same. If you think about it, what's the length of this track?
About 3/4 mile.
Okay, I guarantee it's the same as Buttonwillow. Pretty close, maybe a couple feet. Same as Adams. You would think it's smaller.
That front straightaway is different.
But it's the same.
No, okay, overall length?
Yeah,
sure.
but you see what I'm saying? It all depends on where you're getting on the gas. If you're going in there hard and you're stemming on the brake, you're going to come out of the corner slow. I don't care which. Yeah, it all
doesn't
depends
matter
on
what gear.
Yeah, exactly. So it all depends on where you're getting on the gas.
I'm gonna have to try.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna work.
Good luck swinging that one with Jim.
Yeah. I can tell you guys. See, the K100 with Nick Ramirez, we run a 1075 here, 1074, like right around there.
Man, I'm like two
right there,
higher than you.
Is 10 the standard front driver?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I run a 1075 here. I go to Buttonwillow. Guess what we ran at Buttonwillow? We did not change the gear.
And I want to actually
did not change the gear.
I want to say I was running a 78 in Masters.
See, you guys are normally like 2 teeth higher for Masters. Normally,
2-3 teeth, I think.
Higher.
Yeah, because
even for the X30, you're normally like 2 teeth higher.
Yeah, and I want to say we were pretty damn close to the same at Buttonwillow, but not. I don't think we were the same. I think we were
like a tooth. Yeah, like I said, like
it's
you're
close.
Normally, it all depends on where you're getting on the gas.
It's a longer straightaway.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah. So once you figure out whatever it is, it doesn't matter what type of kart. Don't change the setup. It's going to work. It's the same left hand turn, same right hand turn.
So how do you deal with the driver or the parent or whatever that they need more tuning? It's got
like a Matt Johnson. That guy will have you changing everything. Seats,
man,
axles. He'll have you.
He's the parent and the driver.
Dude,
so
I'm telling
he's
you.
all one.
Man, at
You
SuperNats,
basically
they redid the entire damn go kart. I want to say from morning warm up.
Oh yeah, I've done it all for that guy. But you just once they try it, they'll know. They'll know it ain't gonna work. And you just go back to basics. Just give him his chance to try it, and then if it works,
get it out of their system.
Yeah, get out of their system. Because 9 times out of 10, out of all the changes you make, you go back to what you started up with.
I think even Matt.
I got an N axle in here. Yeah. Oh wait, it's the same seat. You're like, okay, whatever.
That reminds me of my my brother and dad when we were younger. My brother always wanted to have bigger shoes because he thought he'd be more grown up. And he's like, I want an 11. My dad's like, you're a 9. And he brings him. My dad's like, all right, fine. Brings him an 11. I always feel really good. He's like, yeah, they should, you idiot. They're a 9.
Yeah, like you don't even know. No, for sure. But yeah, you just gotta try it, especially in practice. Just get it out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get it out the way. See what works. See what doesn't work. But like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's a standard chassis. I mean, it might be something small like a different axle, or I move the front end out of spacer, but.
So if you're basically keeping things the same, what are you trying to do to go find something, to go find some speed? As a tuner on that end, I'm obviously the driver, like working with Nick, right? Obviously a wheelman, Nick Ramirez, he can get the job done. So what do you guys do to try to go find those little things? What are you trying to fine tune or try to grab? Are you trying to go, hey, driver, what do you need?
Yeah, so I asked a driver just point blank, like, if you had one thing to fix, what would it be? Like, don't answer me right now because it's probably not going to be the right answer. So think about it and then come back and tell me. It's mainly they want more grip. When you start running up towards the front, they want more grip.
It's
such
a
weird.
relative thing to say, though.
They want more grip. Like Nick, he always says he wants more grip. Always. You're like, dude, I just changed the axle, to give you more grip. It's like, it was better, but I just need a little bit more.
Jim Barry. I drive him into an early grave with that one.
Yeah,
he's like, how's the car? I'm like, man, if I had a little more grip, I just need a little more grip. He's like,
because
no surprise.
You're going fast. I mean, you're a front runner. You're on the edge. So when you're on the edge, your car is loose. I mean, it's natural. So
when it should be if it's fast.
It's fast, exactly. Yeah. So you just want more grip. And it's hard to find because as soon as you put grip in it, then that's when it start, it's bicycling. It's starting to hop in this corner. It's, so you got to.
Time's going the wrong way.
Yeah. So it's a delicate balance, that's for sure.
To touch on that really quick.
Touch on what, wait. Derek? I don't know.
Oh, wait. Yeah. No, we're good. Sorry.
You got nothing else?
Wrong question.
No, that was it. Yeah. I totally, yeah.
So, I mean, you're doing at this point, right? You're doing almost entirely running the Phil Giebler Racing team, doing the coaching thing, doing the tuning thing. You just recently started, like you had said, you kind of came back, did a few races, the 206 and stuff like that. What was the driving force behind getting back behind the wheel and going racing again?
I mean, I've always liked driving and stuff like that, but I really like the rock package that they came out with, so that's why I race that now.
What is it about that you like?
It's more laid back. Like a lot of the series that I go to is like it's real hectic.
Oh,
it's
the events themselves.
Yeah, the whole event. It's pretty laid back. You're around the same racers, but when they're calmer, when you first start off the morning at a good morning, and everybody's on time and scheduled, and that's a big deal too. So when they say you're on the track at 12 and it's 12:01, guess what? You missed the track.
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean? So you're not in a rush. It's not 11:30 and you're like, oh, what do I need to do? You know you're on the track at 12 o'clock. So, you know.
So for you, it was more of the events themselves.
Yeah, the events. I really like their events. They're really good.
I will say after doing the challenge for the first time, and I mean that's not necessarily a rock specific thing because
he's been doing type series. So yeah, it's the same people that run it. So,
yeah,
and Andy does a good job.
And Andy's been doing that same basic his package or his event, I should say, is the same now that I remember that was when it was a Rotax.
Yeah, and like I said, I won a lot of championships with Adam, and yeah, I just loved the series from the beginning. We did Streets of Willow, so we always did the tracks that I liked. Yeah, so he runs some pretty good events.
So it's not so much the engine package itself; it's more as the events are a good time.
Yeah. The engine is faster than the X30, but you know, it's just a whole different organization that runs it. That's pretty good.
So you went to the Rock the Rio last year. Was that the first big race back for you as a driver?
Last year back, yeah, that was my first big one back. Yeah,
and it was just because, man, I think it's going to be a good time. Or you're like, that's
me and Derek was like, he asked me if I wanted to go race, and I said sure. You know, I've been wanting to come back.
Zimmerman, right?
Yeah, Zimmerman. So he was my mechanic, and we. 5th place, first race back. I was like, okay.
And that's got to be a good time, too, running with Derek, right? I mean, almost kind of full circle there with that. The way, I mean, where you get into PGR, he's working there at the time, and now he's working with Nash most of the time, right?
Yes.
But you guys are buds, right? You guys know each other since little kids.
Yes, we're all best friends. Matt's my godfather, my son's godfather. So, yeah, we've known each other for, like I said, over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are some, what's a cool karting story, you and maybe the guys or whatever?
Let's see. There's a lot of them. We had some pretty good races. We had a couple big wins in like Utah, and we all worked together. So Matt's always raced with Seth, so we all work for him, and he's won a couple. Like I said, a couple big races. We had as far as not racing, probably the funnest story was in Apple Valley. It was a big IKF race. Probably the last one that they had.
Was that Granger?
Yes. Yeah. We won that deal, but came from the back. I think it was last at the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And that's what, Matty driving?
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Derek pretty much we're just the mechanics nowadays. We race every once in a while, but yeah, we're heavy in the mechanic game.
I try to get to Derek. Like, man, you gotta come out here and run Masters. He's like, run Masters? How much bloody weight I have to put on this thing?
Yeah,
it's
man.
Be ridiculous.
Yeah. When we run Masters, I'm the only one that puts on like 15 pounds. Everybody else is like in the 50-pound.
Man, same.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Same. I actually was an idiot and was light at SuperNats by 2 pounds in the one practice session that mattered to put you in the faster slow
fast group.
Idiot, man. But I had 5 pounds on there, and even like at Buttonwillow, I had about 5-10 pounds. But most of the cats I'm looking at, like, you got more than that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I might be the bigger
yeah,
guy.
Back then the classes were lighter then too. They were at like 303 for like light.
Jeez.
It was like crazy. Yeah.
God.
Well, the motors were nothing.
The motors were lighter and the
Right.
frames were lighter. We didn't have these big
Less body work on
plastic,
them and stuff.
plastic air boxes, which made passing a lot harder. And when you had to pass,
Can't throw the old bumper to them.
Yeah.
NASCAR it.
it was good. It was actually real racing, real hard racing.
You miss some of those early racing days. You think you might do more of the racing Or are you going to kind of here and there kind of deal?
Here and there. I like the big, like I always want to do rock. The Rio for some reason. I'm gonna win these years. It's going down.
You've only done it once, right?
No, twice.
Oh, this is your
yeah. I was in front, and then my teammate took me out, but it's all good. Bachi won the race, so it was winning.
Yeah. How was the tent after that?
PSL. The guy I was racing for PSL, our Big Brother team. So. It was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right. I wasn't making a scene.
Come over and like, hey, Bachi, what's going on with that, buddy?
Nice.
It was a good race, though. I love that little event.
I'll tell you what, that I wanted to do it last year. And, well, I shouldn't say I wanted it. I was looking at it on the calendar, and it just wasn't going to happen the way that things fell. I am aiming to do that and then SuperNats. I definitely want to do SuperNats again with everything I learned.
I think I'm going to do it one of these years.
Yeah.
Too, yeah.
It's got to be tough, though. I mean, people don't know me as much as a coach and stuff like that, so I haven't gotten involved in a lot of that coaching stuff. So I don't make my money, obviously, doing that. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, I make it here at CalSpeed, but you make your money in these events and stuff like that. It's got to be a bit of a tough deal where you want to go racing every once in a while, maybe, but you're probably giving up a paycheck when you do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, but it's like I said, it's worth it. I mean, because you build up to wanting to race for so long, so like.
And you already know if you're going to go racing, there's a sacrifice no matter what.
Yeah, and that's why I take like my best friends with me, like Derek. He handles the go-kart. I don't even question it.
Nice.
He asks me what I need and want, and then he just does it. That way, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt will come up and watch me drive, tell me what I need to do, where I need to get better.
God, it's got to be fun.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good time with you guys.
It is.
How do you? I don't see you out here driving a whole heck of a lot. How do you get ready for an event like that since you're working most of the time?
Just right when the event comes.
Show up there.
Yeah, like
I've been there yet.
Well, when the event comes, I drive. But I mean, like I said, when I grew up, I could literally close my eyes and drive. I mean, I'm putting in so many laps. It's ridiculous. So.
That's actually a good segue to another question. Learning a new track. You and I got a chance to work together, like we said earlier with KPX and whatnot. I had to go up there and learn all those tracks day of. There was even some where I didn't practice at all. I literally, actually most of them, I learned in morning warm-up. You got 3 laps in morning warm-up or something like that. And that's how I learned the track. With you not getting a chance to drive as much and whatnot, like even be in the seat, when you go to the Rock the Rio and these different things, how do you go about you yourself? We talked about earlier with the track walk and things like that, but now that you're going into it as a driver again, what are you doing to try to learn a track that much quicker, especially something like Rock the Rio where you don't know what the design is really until right before?
So like I said, I do track walk first thing, 3 laps, frontwards. Backwards.
Same thing like you would at
same thing I would as a kid, and take one section at a time, and just know that I even told Derek, don't get frustrated. We're not going to be fast until it counts. Mm-hmm. So if you're a second off or 7/10 or whatever the case is, like don't panic. Just you're trying to learn the track.
Yeah,
trying to get from corner to corner and corner to corner. Keep it off the walls, and you're going to be okay. So I just relax and just try to hit my marks and know what you're teaching is right. Hit your apex, get a good exit. That's the biggest thing, especially with road courses. Mm-hmm. If you miss your apex, your exit is going to be terrible, especially because they make the barrier so close on the exit. You even hopping's not going to do anything, so you might as well just woe it up at the beginning and then get the exit.
Survive, yeah.
It's going to be it works. Like I said, when I first show up, I'm normally like 7/10 off like Yager David or some of the fast guys. Mm. And then come qualifying, right there.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's no reason to beat up on yourself for no reason.
Well, it's nice for you knowing this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
You're not walking in with a big question mark.
Yeah, you can't panic. And some of the kids, too, they get down on themselves because you tell them, like I said, if you tell them a certain section's full throttle and they try it, and they start to slide, they won't do it again. Mm-hmm. Or they'll drag the brake. You just got to say, don't get in bad habits. It's going to work. You're going to get used to it. You're going to slow your hands down. You're going to look, a couple feet out ahead of you. Mm-hmm. Just get into the basics, and it will work.
Yeah.
But, the first couple of times it might not work, but eventually it's going to click in. So just keep at it. But don't give up. Because if you give up, you're going to get bad habits.
Well, and that's
not going to be.
That's like we were talking about earlier with the iRacing and stuff, trying out the different tracks and whatnot. It came down to just applying the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And it's what Mike and I have to work with every time we get either a new guy or even an advanced guy in the sport kart stuff. Just don't try to go fast. Just don't put it in the fence and make it in.
Pride's a big thing too. You can't. We're all prideful. Mm-hmm. We're all competitors, but you gotta swallow your pride at some point and try to get faster.
Yeah.
Like for the iRacing thing, like Robert Heck, Heck.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
He's really good at it.
And he will give you, if you listen to him, he'll tell you how to get faster. And one of the biggest things is you want to turn up the sound of the tires. So right when they start screeching, you want to start straightening the wheel, because if you're just slowing the car down.
Just all the scrubbing.
But you don't know that because you're just driving and you're listening. So it's just a small thing.
So before Mike opens his mouth right now, he's gonna try to prove a point. Shut up.
It's a podcast. It's a podcast, so people probably can't see it right now. But as soon as Steven says something about you gotta turn the volume up, I immediately was like, what's up?
So Mike came over the other day and dialed me in and turns the volume up. I'm like, okay, but
why was the volume down, Derek?
Oh, I didn't turn it up.
Yeah, because you want to hear everybody talking.
So we're on the chat and BS and whatnot. So it's fun and
this is
and
racing,
shit,
Derek.
But,
this is not for fun.
But he turns it up. But the problem was I never had a problem hearing the tires or anything. So I did turn it back down a little bit. And also, I was just getting a mean headache because I got a big head.
It's like that in the race car. You hear the tire screech.
I got a big head and the earmuffs are tied on me.
Even changing the gear, if you change the gear too early. We were doing spec Miata races last night, and for example, second gear is I want to say 92 miles an hour, and then you can shift to third. Well, if you're shifting at 91,
yeah,
it's a whole mile. Exactly, you're missing out on a whole mile an hour.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of times too, because especially when I'm just jumping in, talking about iRacing still, if I'm just jumping into a car that I don't know or whatnot, I've got to have little visual cues. So like one of the things I did with him is I changed the spot where because you can move things down in the UI, right? So I move where the gear indicator is, towards the center, so I could see it. But even though I'm not going to look at it, I can see that I've made that change. I've made that deal. But yeah, all the gear shifting, right? It's all by sound and
downshifting,
and you get in a rhythm. Like he was doing the Radical at Laguna,
right?
And you just know that. All right, I need to get down. However many, it just feels right.
It's even an added brake is the downshifting,
right? Exactly, where you don't have that situation with the. Yeah, actually, I haven't done any shifter stuff. Have you been in a shifter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it similar? Do you have engine braking with the shifter as well?
Especially with the the rock shifters or the ICCs, not necessarily the Hondas, but where they have the big transmissions on them. Yeah, you can
the higher RPMs and stuff.
Yeah, that's why you see a lot of guys. They don't even brake. They may just downshift it in a certain section, and that's their brake, and then get back on it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. Have you thought about? I mean, you obviously do the
tag,
the rock deal, the Masters rock. Have you thought about going and doing other stuff, or is that kind of the deal that you want to do? Because I was going to ask you about doing the 100cc stuff. Are you going to do that at all?
Maybe. I like it, but I like going fast. This is the only deal. But yeah, I like the 100cc because it reminds me where I grew up. Definitely for sure. I think it's like a beefed up LO206. It's exactly what I think 100%. It is.
It's the two-stroke 206 basically.
I love it, but yeah. I'd probably get in a few races. I might get in one race before Rock the Rio, and it'll probably be 100.
Would you do it at LAKC?
Yeah.
Good. Let me know, because I want to make sure. I want to go elbows up with Steven. It'd be a good time.
Yeah, it would be.
I got a chance to run with Zim a few times, and Maddie.
Yeah.
And even Seth Nash once. Some of those.
Right.
Old schools. Yeah, and the 206 thing. That was a hell of a lot of fun.
I'd love that. I love those events.
I don't think I
those are the best. I was in that race.
Yeah, he did a few with us.
Yeah, I was in that
That was
race.
cool.
Yeah, I finished right behind Derek in that money race. Cause,
I got wrecked out.
Phil and Matt.
That's
took each other out right there. Yeah,
dude,
that was so awesome to hear about that in the skills line.
Yes.
Oh my god, dude!
Maddie obliterated.
Oh yeah, he's
Philly.
Brutal. He's brutal. You give him an inch, he's going to take it. That's for sure.
Yeah, you didn't give Phil an inch.
No. Checked him into the barriers.
Phil's somebody I'd like to go play. I mean, that'd be, for me, and again, I'm just completely selfish. I'd love to have a bunch of these Masters guys go out here and play. I think that'd be, if they have another, you know what, Dan, that if we end up having a situation where we can't go full on open right out of the gate, I might just try to put on some
little event,
exclusive Masters.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, dude, and just I mean, obviously people's got to weigh up and crap like that for some of us chunk monsters, but that'd be fun as hell.
That'd be a good race. That's
that'd be
for
a
sure.
good time. Yeah, that'd be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Steven, this is a lot of fun, man. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good time.
Anytime. I'll come back.
That's freaking bad. Before we let go, you had mentioned earlier, like your Munchkin, you got a boy there.
Yes, Logan.
How old's he? And are we gonna see Logan?
Oh, you will see him out here for sure. He's 4 going on 5, August 3rd. He will be out here for sure.
So this year we're gonna see him in a go-kart.
Oh yeah, he'll be out here.
Now, all right. I was gonna let you guys have to ask a couple more questions about that. Now, you're gonna be doing the dad thing.
Yeah, I've already told Mom and him that I won't be a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I already know how that's gonna work.
So you've already gone.
Yeah.
We're gonna get the ride, but
I'll get him the ride.
Dad ain't doing the coaching.
Yes, Matt and his compadres will definitely handle him. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't want it. Yeah.
Oh man. That would be...
Yeah, it's going to be good. He's competitive already, so that'd be nice.
That's cool.
You know.
Is he playing any video games? Or
he plays with me. Yeah, we play Gran Turismo all the time. Yeah, all the time. He's ready.
That's going to be a good time right there, man. I can't
Another
wait.
inch and we'll be in it.
Can't wait to see him out here, man. That's awesome. But hey, man, thanks again for coming out.
Anytime.
This is a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting things back out there. And
I can't wait to get back racing. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, buddy.
I might even hit this first one.
Oh yeah,
because we never know when it's going to be. So not.
I like that.
Yeah,
really quick, you do the coaching and whatnot and all the tuning. If someone need to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
I got a phone number. Email. My phone number is 951-367-6760. My email is wstevenclark@gmail.com.
No, that's something I could ask you too.
Yes.
I always call you Steven.
Yes.
But I would talk to like Zim and some of those guys. They'll call you Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal?
People like Wayne, when I first started racing growing up, my first name's Wayne, so that's how the people knew me. And then my mom and them growing up from the track, they just call me Steven. So
had that just randomly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's little. I was little.
You were rolling with it.
Yeah. I go off either one, so it don't matter.
Got it. I'm just gonna keep calling Steve.
Yeah, I like them both. Yeah.
Well, Steven Clark, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah,
all right.
Good time.
Yeah.